So this is a great question, and you're just going through all the questions that we've had from previous webinars that I wasn't able to get to. So this question is, what is your advice on changing your mindset between tasks? When I'm working towards my postgrad and working part-time, I struggle to focus. There's so much on my mind. So what I can pick up from this question is that this person is extremely busy because they're working, they've got a job potentially, and they are doing postgrad studies. So I had a full-time job. I was also doing my postgrad studies, and of course I've got family commitments, and yeah, like most people, just very busy in your lives. Okay, so the assumption is that you have a lot on your mind, and it's not just that it's a lot in one area. It's very different areas. So you know, go off to work in the morning, and then you've got a boss, and you've got a team, and you've got projects. Then you come home at night, and you've got assignments and reading. Now, hopefully, there's a link between your work and your studies, but very often there might not be a link, and so you have to change mindset completely. And I think this is what the person is talking about, and it's also called context switching. So you're switching context completely. So my suggestion would be that you have to do it quite intentionally. Don't let that context switch catch you by surprise. So it's been made difficult by a lot of our virtual working from home, where we just click from one meeting to the next, from one area of our life to the next, whereas before we would drive into work and then drive home. And what I found was, in that drive, I could get my mind right. I could make that mental shift. I could, ensure that, by the time I got home, I was in the mode of being at home. Now, maybe it would be a couple of hours with my family, and then only later, get into my studies. But the physical act of getting in and out of the car and driving through traffic or across town gave me a chance to make that switch. Now, I think what's been exacerbated by the pandemic and the lockdowns is that often switching is just clicking a button. So you just click a button between two meetings, you click a button, you're at work and now you're studying, or you're in a meeting and then you're in a lecture. So that is quite a challenge. My suggestion would be the following. If you have a Kanban board at home, and if you don't and you want to get organized with all your tasks, then do my course on Kanban. In a Kanban board, you get what's called swim lanes. And those swim lanes can be divided up between different projects or different areas of life. So you could have a horizontal set of tasks between a backlog, your in-progress tasks, and your done tasks that relate to your job, your day job or working part-time. You could have another swim lane that relates to your studies. And when you look at your board, you're not only seeing the columns of the different stages that your tasks are in, but you're also seeing the horizontal rows within which you're managing your different tasks. And you can also use different colored stickies, so all your red stickies or red tasks relate to your day job, all your blue stickies relate to your studies, and all your yellow stickies, for example, relate to your family. Maybe you've got some work to do around the house, for example, and you could have lots of other different projects. In my Kanban course, I ask people to send in a sample of their Kanban board and tell me what area of their life they're working on. And I've had some wonderful things like people trying to sell their house, or planning a wedding, or trying to get their son into a basketball team. And those are just a couple that come to mind. Now, you could have one master Kanban board for yourself, and then a swim lane or a horizontal row of tasks that talks to one project, and then another row that talks to another project, etc. So don't have too many on there. Don't have 6 different rows, but I think you could have 2 or 3 or maybe 4, or you just have one Kanban board, and then again, the color coding of the different stickies relate to the different areas of work that you're trying to manage. And then, so what this person is saying, when they sit down, they struggle to focus because there's so much on your mind. Okay, well, that's exactly the point of a Kanban board. When you sit down to do your work, the only thing you look at is your in-progress column. So the Kanban process helps you make sure that you only put tasks into the in-progress column that you're actually going to be able to complete by the time you review your Kanban board the next time. So you're not going to have tasks in your in-progress column in any of those different rows that you cannot actually get done. And I would advise, a maximum of 2 or 3 tasks in each swim lane within any sort of 1 or 2 or 3 day period. Because remembering, you're reviewing your Kanban board, say, maybe every couple of days or once a week, for example, but you're not putting anything into that in-progress column that you can't get done in the time that you plan to do it. Simple. So the focus that this student needs comes from being very diligent about what goes into that in progress column. And don't try and do too much. And derive some satisfaction from being able to take that sticky or that task out of the in progress column and putting it into the done. And you must celebrate those. And that celebration, that momentum then feeds right back into the backlog and the in progress tasks that you're working on, because you've had that celebration, you've had that sense of completion, and that feeds right back into the focus that you need to do more tasks.